Okay, so today we're going to be talking about solving triangles. Okay, given three facts of a triangle, basically two facts plus a right angle, can you find the other missing parts only using given values? Okay, and so the thing is this, on the first two triangles, you're given two sides. Excuse me. So basically what you do is you go with, you're gonna have to find all three sides and all three angles and go with the two things you know of it. And so on the first two triangles, you know two sides. So and you only know one angle. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to find the third item. Okay, so on number 1 and 2, we're going to end up using the two sides we know to find the missing third side. So on, say, if you start on number 2, you would say, okay, I know two sides. Okay, so I'm going to find the third side. And how would I do that? I would do the Pythagorean theorem. And so I would call this like baby A. So A squared plus 9 squared is equal to 11 squared. And if you solve that equation, you're going to get A is equal to the square. A is equal to the square root of 40, which would be 2 squared root of 10. And so we know we can basically write down A is equal to 2 squared root of 10. And this is how we did our work. Okay. And then B is given and C is given. Okay. Side B is across from big angle B. Okay. So this would be 9 and that'd be units. We could label it. And then C it was given, that's 11. So if you know 2 out of 3 sides, start by finding the third side. Okay. So that's your very first thing. Okay. Make sure you show your work. Make sure I can find it. Now, the next step is going to be to find the missing angles. Okay. And so to find the missing angles, okay, we're going to do trigonometry on the last 2 steps. And so again, we don't want to work with anything that we found along the way. So we wouldn't use 2 squared root of 10 to find anything else. We would only use the given value. So if we want to find angle A, okay, so angle A, I'm going to put a capital A, we would do from A's perspective, we know given to us would be the adjacent and the hypotenuse. We don't know the opposite. That was something we found along the way. So we'd say cosine of angle A is equal to 9 over 11. And so to find the value of A, we would do the inverse cosine of both sides. So A is equal to the inverse cosine of 9 over 11. And so if we put that in our calculator, we're going to get the measure of A. So angle A is equal to 35.1 degrees. Okay. So if I were being polite, I would put an M in front of it. So the measure of angle A is 35.1. Angle B, okay, again, you can't just subtract it from 180 degrees. You need to make sure you use, trigonometry to find the last 2 things. So from B's perspective, we know the opposite leg and we know the hypotenuse. So sine from B's perspective is equal to 9 over 11. To solve this, we're going to do inverse sine of both sides. So B is equal to the inverse sine of 9 over 11. Use your calculator to figure out that value. And B, the measure of angle B, is equal to 54.9 degrees. Now, if you're living right and you got the right answer, the sum of your 3 angles, so the 90 plus these 2 acute angles, should make 180 degrees. If you plus up these 2 right here, you do indeed get 90. And then if you'd add another 90, you would get the measure of all 3 angles to make 180 degrees. Okay, so you may only use given values. You start by, if you know 2 things, find the third item. I know 2 sides, I'm going to find the third side. And then to find the last 2 items, you're going to do trigonometry. Okay, so let's go over to number 1. I know 2 sides, so to find the third side, we're going to do Pythagorean theorem. So you start by finding the third of something that you know 2. So let's do 16 squared plus 30 squared is equal to, this would be side C squared. And so you solve it, you get XC is equal to 34, and that would be units. Okay, so to find that third side, it's 34. So side B is equal to, it looks like 30. And side A, they give it to us, is going to be 16 units. Now we need to find both angles. Okay, and we're going to use trigonometry to find the other 2 angles. So from A's perspective, we can do tangent. So tangent from A's perspective is going to equal the 16 over the 30. You can only use given values. You may not use the 34 we found. What if we made a mistake? So do inverse tangent both sides. So the measure of angle A, do inverse tangent of 16 over 30, and you're going to get 28.1 degrees. To find the measure of angle B, from B's perspective, we're going to do tangent again. Tangent from B's perspective, again, you can only use given values, is going to be 30 over 16. Do the inverse tangent of both sides. The inverse tangent of angle B is going to be inverse tangent of 30 over 16, and you're going to get 61.9 degrees. So the measure of angle B is equal to 61.9 degrees. If the sum of your three angles make 180 degrees, you're living right and you did a good job. Okay, so start by finding the third of the items that you know two of. So these first two ones, we knew two sides. We found the third side first, and then we used trigonometry to find the last two items. Now, on our last two triangles, I don't know two sides, but I do know two angles. So to find, the first thing is we know angle A is equal to 35 degrees. That's given. Angle C equals 90 degrees. And then how do you find the measure of angle B? We are going to do 180 minus 35 and minus 90. The measure of angle B is going to give us 55 degrees. Okay, so that's the first thing we found. Okay, we subtracted from 180, or yes, you can say the sum of the two acute angles of a right triangle are going to make 90 degrees. That's another way to look at it. Okay. Now, to find side B and find the measure of side A, again, we can only go with given values. So from A's perspective, that's the angle we're going to speak of. So let's see. If I want to find this X and I want to find this Y. Okay, so to find X, okay, we're going to say, or we could call it A if we wanted to because it's across from angle A, and we could call this B because it's across from angle B. Might be a little bit fancier. So we'd say, okay, sine of angle A, which is 35 degrees, is equal to baby A over 10. To solve that, you're going to multiply both sides by 10. So if you do 10 times the sine of 35, we're going to get the measure of side A. And that is going to give us, side A is going to be 5.75 units. Okay, so this is going to be the measure of side A. Okay, side A is 5.75 units. To find the measure of side B, okay, you're going to say, okay, from A's perspective, you got to stay at that angle because that's the angle you know. You don't know necessarily, except for by subtraction, the measure of angle B. So from A's perspective, B is going to be spoken of as cosine. So cosine of angle A, which is 35 degrees, is equal to side B over 10. To multiply both sides by 10, you're going to do 10 times cosine of 35. Equals B. That means that side B is equal to 8.19 units. Okay. So we have the three missing parts. Okay. All right. The next one. I know 2 out of 3 angles. So to find the measure of angle A, I'm going to end up doing 90 minus 59. If you subtract 90 minus each one of the acute angles, you find the other acute angles are complementary. So the measure of angle A is going to equal 31 degrees. Okay, you know the other two angles. Angle B is 59. The angle C is 90 degrees. So we found the measure of angle A. Now we can only use given data to help us find the other two sides. So let's call this side A, and this is going to be side C. So to find the measure of side A, we go to the angle we know, the acute angle we know. From angle B's perspective, we can do cosine. No, we can't do cosine. We're going to do tangent. So tangent from B's perspective, which is 59 degrees, is equal to the opposite leg over the adjacent, which is A. And so to talk about only the given values to find A, you're going to do tangent for 59 is the opposite leg over the adjacent leg. To solve that equation, we're going to interchange these two values. So A is equal to 10 over tangent of 59. If you find that quotient, A is equal to, look and see, 5.15, and that'd be units. And then remember that has to do with cross multiplying. You can interchange the diagonal things across from an equal sign and you'll get the same answer. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to say to find the measure of side C, you're going to do sine of 59 degrees is equal to 10 over C. Again, to solve for C, you interchange those two values. So C is equal to 10 over sine of 59. Find that quotient, and that value for C is going to be 11.67. And that will be units. Thank you and have a good day.